Answer if we believe that gender may be discussed and legitimized without some level of essentialisms. Personally, I don't believe so. I feel that without biological essentialisms, that's what I'm going to call it, there wouldn't be gender. But the reality is that we do have differing genitalia, so just for the sake of effective communication and differentiation, it makes sense to acknowledge those, in my opinion. Why should people avoid focusing on difference and instead focus on diversity, equity, and intersectionality? I feel that diversity, equity, and intersectionality are an acknowledgement of differences. I don't believe that people should necessarily avoid focusing on differences to some extent. I think that it can be useful. Having an awareness of our differences is what allows us to be more consciously considerate of others. So I'm assuming when we're talking about focusing on differences that we're fixating on them as if they are bad. And I mean, I'm just trying to put myself in the mindset of somebody where that would be a bad thing, and it goes more into like they would have to have an extremely low IQ or have a Machiavellian personality type for that to be a negative action for them to focus on differences. I mean, for me, I think that's what makes people so beautiful. So, essentialism is the presumption that all members of a group are alike because they have one quality in common. How can you avoid participating in essentialisms? I'm kind of stuck in a state of fascination that someone would be in a mindset to perceive one group as all being alike in like every single way because of one commonality. So how can I avoid participating in essentialisms? I do feel that with people we're not really interacting with, or where for the sake of making decisions, and sometimes we do need to make snap judgments, it can be effective to rely upon an essentialism. But all it really takes is having a conversation with them and asking questions, you know, about their beliefs and their personal practices. I mean, in any specific group or categorization of people, there's going to be differences. So I guess just having a conscious awareness of that, and if someone is struggling with that, maybe like look at yourself, look at the groups that people would associate you with, and realize the differences you have with the individuals yourself within that group. And, you know, chances are that's going to apply to other people in relation to the groups that they're categorized within. Essentialism reflective of gender commodification or sexual commodification? I don't think so. And that makes me want to more deeply explore sexual commodification, which is directed more at women as being the commodity. I don't really want to reference children in this particular conversation. But from a business standpoint, if I'm looking to start a business or I'm looking to make money, what I'm going to first do is look for gaps in the market where there's an unmet need. In the case of sexual commodity, we could assume that the unmet need is for men. They have a need that isn't being met. They're not getting the connection that they're needing, which for them, their emotional and physical connection, you know, often will manifest as that desire for a sexual connection. So what that tells me is that societally and over the course of history, men have not been able to get that need met within the confines of a relationship. And it makes me think of patriarchal dynamics. And I know that people make this assumption that men are very privileged. But when we look at this unmet need, even throughout history, this is highlighting that many men weren't receiving that privilege. Okay, they were unable to provide for a family. They were unable to afford to, so they were unable to afford to have a relationship, to have a partner, and to have that connection and companionship. And I believe that's more what manifested that kind of market and what allowed for it. I don't think essentialism is a reflection of sexual commodity. I feel that sexual commodification is in reflection of an unmet need. It just happens that throughout history, this isn't something that's so relevant today, but men were essentialized. If you were a man, you were expected to fulfill certain traits. It wasn't projected onto you that you had them, but you were expected to societally to fulfill them. You were expected to be a provider. And if you weren't, then your needs weren't going to get met.